The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. This is the West Stand, out on a Monday and a Friday. Normally, you'll find it in YouTube and in your podcast app. Guests from around the world of Leeds United. My name's Dan Moylan. Hello, with me is Michael Normanton.
Hi there.
Well, this show is brought to you by NordVPN. Michael, NordVPN, maybe you'd want to watch a sporting event from somewhere else in the world, or if you were abroad for the playoff final, you could watch Frank Lampard's bald head dancing around Wembley as he celebrates promotion to the Premier League as 45,000 bereft Leeds fans shuffle out again for the second year on the trot.
Is this the sort of positive read that they were hoping for?
Followed by, you can watch Wrexham. Remember when we lose 3-0 to Wrexham at home next season? Yeah. That'll be good. At least Bryn Law will be happy.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you could watch just something that's not football.
Yeah.
It's probably what I'd advise.
It is for the best. Yeah, we're recording this. It's now 7 o'clock on Saturday evening. A delightful way to spend your Saturday evening when you've just watched that. We should probably finish the read.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just realised I haven't done any of that. NordVPN.com/TSB for an extra discount for the fastest VPN in the world. That's good, isn't it?
That is good. And you can, it's a good way to get cheaper flights and stuff if you want to just get out of this place.
Well remembered. Premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee per month. Sorry, NordVPN. You know, light and shade and all that.
Yeah.
Got to take the rough with the smooth. NordVPN.com/TSB. I think the link's in the description. I'm supposed to say that as well.
There you go.
It's done now, isn't it? And our guest is Graeme Smyth from the Yorkshire Evening Post newspaper, website, and football podcast. Hello.
Hello.
Just come out of the press conference. After that against Swansea, I went from furious on the match ball in the anger stage of grief. I think I flipped over. I don't know which is there just a bereft stage of grief? I'm in that now. I feel
acceptance.
Is it acceptance? I don't know if it's acceptance, Michael.
We're not going up and it's fine.
Yeah.
Premier League's rubbish. This is going to be so much better next year.
Graeme, we've just spoken about all this stuff and laid into Farke and all the obvious stuff and Melia. So over to you.
I wish that could be a bit more therapeutic. I wish I could bring you some comfort. What was in the press conference that might give you comfort? Well, Daniel Farke is 100% convinced Leeds United will play Premier League football next season.
Are you?
I'm not 100% convinced.
I may or may not have called him a fucking liar on the match ball.
But I'm still pretty convinced. Yeah, that was really bold, I thought, from Farke, and very uncharacteristic, because we never, ever hear him come out with bombastic statements, or it's always very kind of quietly confident. We want to be in a top position come May. We're giving ourselves a good chance. We've won many games, blah, blah, blah. But he never outright comes out and says, we're going to get promoted. But he did today.
Yeah, but if we don't, he's getting the boot. So it doesn't matter because the fallout from it will be catastrophic. I mean, today's actually, I'll be honest, today, the way I feel post-match is I don't really want him as manager if we go up, which is perhaps unfair. Maybe you earn your shot if you achieve it from here. But I have such major doubts about all the really, really obvious things. It's the Melia issue, isn't it? The fact that that's one of the hills that he's chosen to die on among a few. And unfortunately, it's cost us more points again today on top of a lot of points across the rest of the season, all the stuff we said on the match ball. So where are you on it?
I asked him, he initially didn't really go in on Melia. I mean, he didn't go in on him, but he did say things like they scored without it even being a chance. And he was referring to the second one as well as the first one with that. And you can see why, because the shot for the second goal, it shouldn't go in. All the stats say that should be saved a lot of times out of 100 from that angle. And it wasn't. And he did his whole, it was obvious to see what happened today, so we don't need to talk about it too much. But I felt like it needed to be pushed a little bit on Melia because we've been here before. We were here after Sunderland, and it was at that point where he told me that nobody was undroppable, but then he didn't drop Melia in the wake of that. And so today I asked him, are you now in a position where you need to consider this player's position in the team? And he said, I suppose what you'd expect from a manager really is that he doesn't need to punish. He doesn't need to be punished by his manager with public comments while the emotions are still running high. So he didn't need to come out and make judgments or big statements. But whether he was ready to admit it today or not, he now has a decision that he has to make. It's not just a decision to weigh up, it's a decision to make. because I just don't see how you can weigh up the points that have been dropped with the points that are still to play for and think that it's a risk worth taking.
No. But we said that ages ago, didn't we? This was the exact conversation we had around, was it the whole game?
We've had it a few times.
When essentially, I mean, like, it's interesting drawing the parallels with Willie Gnonto, when Gnonto did his misbehaving and he was welcomed back into the fold. You get a second chance, but you don't get a third chance. Are we not in the same territory, albeit for a different reason, with Ilan Melia now?
I think what it must come down to is Farke's confidence in what lies beneath in the squad, goalkeeping wise. It has to. It has to be that. Because it's not like you're getting so much from Melia in other terms. It's not like his feet are so incredible that he's, playing players in behind, picking up assists, like some goalkeepers can. He's not pulling off worldies because he's pretty well protected most of the time. He's not having to. So if it's not something that Melia is doing to keep him in the team, it must be something that someone else isn't doing to get them in the team. That is the only rationale that we can be left with.
It's a damning indictment on recruitment, isn't it?
Well, you could say that. But you look at Darlow, though, he's playing for Wales. It's not like you've got some complete no mark underneath him. It's not like you've got somebody completely untried and untested like Clyson, for example, that you wouldn't have wanted to throw in at this point. But Darlow's a pretty experienced goalkeeper. He's played a lot of football. He's played at a high level. He's playing international football presently. He's got to be worth a look.
When we signed Darlow, did Farke okay it? Because he seems to be so determined not to use him. It almost makes you wonder if he was given to him and he's gone, yeah, well, I didn't want that.
By his use of players and subs, I feel like I could predict which were the Farke signings and which ones were the recruitment team signings. And I'm thinking particularly of Laji Ramazani there.
I can't remember the exact situation or the noises around Darlow when he came in, but I do remember it being quite an early one.
Yeah, he came in pretty much. I think it was probably the first.
It might have been
the first signing of the.
With a certain expectation of being number one now.
Well, if not an expectation of being number one, it was certainly Ilan hasn't been pushed enough recently. We think this is a goalkeeper who will push Ilan. But if he's genuinely pushing him, what does that push amount to?
Sorry, I was thinking back to when we finished recording the match ball just a short while ago. I think it was off air, wasn't it? We discussed afterwards putting Gilavogi and Cairns in charge as player managers. So it just made me think, like, what's underneath Ilan Melia? I forgot about Cairns being there as well.
Yeah. I mean, right now, if I had to pick between Cairns and Melia for the next game, I'm playing Cairns.
I put Kim Cairns in.
Okay.
Betty Davis Eyes, she could sing from the back.
That'd be nice, actually. Yeah.
I think there's a real danger in keeping Melia in the net, not just because he's made errors previously, but because his head could go, and because the heads of
God, that'd be terrible to see.
Perhaps more concerningly,
This could get worse.
The heads of those around him might go, and I think everyone's seen the still images or replays this season where certain players have reacted in a certain way to their goalkeeper's mistakes.
What you're saying is Joe Rodon's had his fucking fill of this, and so I think we all have.
Well, you've got Joe Rodon, who looks aghast every time there's one of these incidents. You've got Al Tanaka putting his hand to his mouth like he can't believe it. Now, that might be a little bit of, I can't believe I passed the ball out for a corner completely unnecessarily, and the first corner led to a shot that Melia saved really well, and the second corner's led to this. Or it might be, I can't believe what I've just seen. Rothwell looks like he's seen a ghost. And not an attractive ghost. And
what's the most attractive ghost you've ever seen? Get in touch. Do it like a phone in.
We could do, couldn't we? Yeah. Like a radio phone. Yeah.
But if their confidence goes in their goalkeeper, and if it goes completely, then you'll have more goals like the Portsmouth goal, where players there'll be confusion, or there'll be miscommunication, or they won't trust him, or balls are coming into the area that you think your goalkeeper will get, and it's just not a good situation.
It's quickly becoming the definitive issue around this season, isn't it? Or not quickly. It's been distilled down to it.
And it gives people a very obvious way, teams who have far less in terms of quality, it just gives them such an obvious way to get chances. Just put it to Melia.
Well, I was going to say,
have shots, have crosses.
You mentioned the stats there, Graeme. Sorry, Michael. I was just going to say, yeah, Graeme mentioned the stats before. That shot has a 0.03 XG. And I know people get angry with XG and go, it's meaningless. But what that means is that shot goes in 1 in 33 times from that position. then we were talking about its expected GOT, expected Game of Thrones or whatever it is, goals on target, which then actually is the next measurement of that. It's like, so has it gone in the corner or has it gone, up high? Has it gone low? It's measuring the quality, not just of the position, but of the shot itself. And then it goes down to 0.02. So that goes in 1 in 50 times. And that 1 in 50 times is when it's shot at Melia.
Yeah, basically. And we said as well, the first goal, it's hard to really drill down into the stats of that because it isn't a chance until he drops it.
We have to say, and I'm sure you
catch.
said it on the match ball, maybe you didn't because you were so fuming, but he played so well up until that corner.
Yep.
He saves a pen, which is a collector's item. He doesn't save penalties in the main. So he's done that well. His kicking was fine. There was
Well done for doing your job.
There was a couple of kicks where...
But it is, isn't it? I'm sorry. I just cannot get my head around it. It's like... we can't praise him for doing the basics because he should be doing them, but I don't trust him.
But it wasn't just the basics though today. I thought he was on for like an 8 out of 10 up until 60 whatever minutes. That shot he saves the prior corner, was it Ronald? Ronald hits the volley and it comes through a crowd. He sees it really late, gets down, pushes it wide. Very decent save. I thought he was good today, and then it just went completely wrong.
When he made that save,
but he's always got that in his locker, hasn't he?
When he made that save, I'll just name him, Jono, guy who stands a couple down from me, declared him man of the match.
So we now know who to blame.
And then the cross comes in and everyone's just like, oh.
I did text more than one person after Aronson scored and Melia saved that penalty. So mea culpa on this one, saying the football gods really are smiling on us today.
It was a day for the wimpy boys.
Oh.
But not.
Interestingly, Farke made more of a direct criticism of Ao Tanaka for passing the ball behind.
We mentioned this,
yeah.
Than he did for Melia.
Yeah, so he's happy to pick him out for that because he's got so much credit in the bank and he's otherwise pretty much flawless. But even that doesn't guarantee the goal, does it? That's the thing.
No.
The second goal is a comedy of errors, really, isn't it? It's Matteo Joseph's trampoline touch, gives the ball away. Tanaka doesn't make a challenge. Stroy lets them nutmeg him, and then...
If only there'd been a spell just after Christmas in the early part of the year where they could have maybe added some competition to the squad so you weren't relying on an out-of-form, perhaps low in confidence, young striker in his first season in the Championship.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a club just down the road, about an hour from here, close to where you live, Sheffield United, who did that. Just added to their squad.
Yeah, but
vibes, Graeme, vibes.
Yes,
Oh,
you say that, but I wouldn't have, if I was Leeds United, I wouldn't have spent 2 million on that particular player coming to bolster your squad.
Tom Cannon?
Never mind 7.
Well, no, Tom Cannon's useless. I do agree with that. But
No.
Brereton Diaz I would have taken, in fairness, at that point.
Yeah,
I would have taken genuinely any other goalkeeper out of the Championship or probably League One at that point. Just someone else we can play. Because Jesus Christ. Oh,
just the most.
I feel like we would have probably benefited from an extra day of gap between recording this because I've just.
Yeah.
It was everything this club didn't need today. What this club needed today was to win by almost any means necessary and just calm everyone down and say it's going to be fine. Because there's been a little bit of a panic, there's been a little bit of a wobble. You had to dig out Sheffield United and Sunderland wins. You had the West Brom draw, which wasn't great. You had the Millwall game, which was a 45-minute performance. You had Portsmouth, where they got beat up. You had QPR, which wasn't great. And then you thought after the break, what they need is just a win, just any win to set them on the right track again and let everyone calm down and relax. And they score after 35 seconds. You've put yourselves in a great position there. Because when they score first at Leeds, they don't lose. You're in a great position. And they've somehow...
I wonder if they're perhaps a little bit overly reliant on that as a thing.
And we
get in front.
And we had completely got out of jail with Nonto's goal as well. It felt like that was like us getting away with it.
Yeah.
Just talking about the mood though, Graeme, I remarked to somebody during that, I think it was the halftime break, potentially I texted somebody saying they look scared to win. That's a team that looks scared. It's ridiculous. You're top of the league, or you were going into the game week, and they look scared to win. They look scared to win and get promoted. Just go out there and win.
You sounded like Jesse Marshall.
No, but
they're scared.
But they are, aren't they? I mean, like quite visibly, they're like a darts player when they get in their own head and they can't hit the target, or a golfer with the yips, something like that.
Yeah, you do have to question mentality after games like this happen. Daniel Farke, however, was very, very bullish on the mentality his team showed today. He felt they bounced back from sucker punches really well and had it won, and then it was heartbreak. You know, that was the line he took. The problem for me, I think, is that Sheffield United, I think, probably would have won that game because they're in the habit of not playing very well and still winning, still winning games and ticking along. And then, of course, they come out of the international break and then they win convincingly and play very well against Coventry. That's a bit of an ominous situation there, and they've just not gone away all season. That's more of the mentality you want to be having and praising, is seeing it out from 2-1 up, 2-1 up. And how many times today did they give the ball away from their own throw-ins? And that's what happened for the second goal as well. You know, they'd been doing it all game, but they didn't get away with it.
Do you remember
that one time.
Was it the first half where we had a throw-in and, whichever it was in front of the East stand, because I was like looking at it with a certain degree of bafflement, where Byram had the ball for like an age.
It took forever, yeah.
It was like shaking his hands, like I'd thrown his hands up. I don't know what to do. Move for me. Like,
yeah, that was in front of the West.
Was it?
Yeah, because he was playing left back first half.
Right, maybe no second half because he was in front of me.
Oh, he did it in the first half as well. He definitely did one first half.
Yeah,
I was thinking he's going to get.
The referee actually told him to hurry up.
Yeah, I was like, why are you're professional footballers? If your man's got looking for a throw, you move.
Yeah,
you move. And again, sorry to drop the B-bomb in, but under Bielsa, they'd be rotating, like three of them would be rotating and coming in, and there was methods to it. Do they not practice this stuff? Because I remember remember that story that emerged about Liverpool having a throwing coach who comes in like once a month or once every 2 months and practices specialist drills and routines with them and stuff like that. That was under Klopp, by the way. And it's just everything. It's throwing everything at it, isn't it? All the details. Like
throw-ins is one of the things Mark Jackson highlighted as how Bielsa changed the way he saw the game. He said, you watch us from throw-ins, particularly in our own half, and you watch what we do. He said it's just the level of attention to detail is incredible. And today I thought restarts from throw-ins were really sloppy for Leeds. Really, really sloppy.
We have to do. You can see it in the players when they're not quite connecting their passes. And I thought we were a yard off it in all sorts of areas today, Saturday. Ampadu being the greatest example of that. But they hit passes behind each other, and you think there's a chance to break, and like Strike will put it across the road, and it's a yard behind him, and he has to turn around, and it's just you lose all that momentum. And I remember, Bielsa opening my eyes to stuff like when you hear the players talking about it, body shape, things like that. So when you know about this stuff and then you see them not doing it, it just feels really frustrating. Which is why we're never going to fall in love again. And it's why Farke's never going to be loved at Ellen Road. He got booed off at full time on Saturday. So
yeah, the boos at full time didn't surprise me, but the subsequent boos as he and the team walk around, that caught me off guard a little bit because we haven't really heard that level of dissent. But probably because you've been top of the league for a long, long time.
It's silly, isn't it? Just on that, Graeme, we've been top of the league for so long this season, but it's felt so free of joy and enjoyment for so much of it because I suppose it's the wider state of football, isn't it? What's at stake if you do and you don't go up, and having experienced the trauma of not having blowing it last season. It's felt quite a joyless experience because I know as we've had loads of different people in on the West Stand across this season, saying it's a bit weird. We're winning 3 and 4-0 at home with the opposition barely even laying a glove on us, and it's just felt a bit strange.
I don't think you're alone in this top 3 race. I spoke to people at Burnley and Bramall Lane not that long ago for a piece for my newsletter, and they were not enjoying themselves. Burnley fans for obvious reasons because they weren't scoring goals and they were just. And
Scott Parker's dressing like a schoolboy on the touchline.
Defenders. Scott Parker lining them up as 10 men across the front of their own box, and Sheffield United because they haven't been sparkling at all. They've just been winning. And Blades fans have been grumbling about performances for weeks, but they've just been ticking over. So I don't think anybody's, maybe Sunderland probably enjoying themselves for a bit of it. A bit.
It is stressful. I mean, there's no denying it. Football, it brings a stress, doesn't it? Until you get it either over the line or you don't, and then you just get really angry and wail.
Do you buy Farke's international break excuse that he threw in today?
Not a single word of it. 'Cause it didn't affect Sheffield United, did it? And it doesn't seem to affect everybody else consistently in the same way it does us. I think that is a bullshit excuse.
I mean, it would have helped to have Firpo from the start fresh. It probably would have helped to have Tanaka fresh.
But do you not think he was looking to get Ampadu back into that team though?
Oh, definitely.
And it didn't work. I've not looked at the stats, but I would imagine comparing Ampadu's pass completion stats from any other game versus that, he gave the ball away so many times.
It was just an error.
And he got an absolute, the most yellow card you've ever seen because he couldn't get there in time.
It was comedy, wasn't it, that?
And
I think he almost had to take that one, though, didn't he?
Oh, I think that was very much the intention.
Probably.
Yeah.
But
It was a great yellow.
If you're going to take a yellow, take that yellow.
It's as bad as he has been for us.
I remember him being rusty previously when he came back. He comes back from injury remarkably quickly. Doesn't seem to need many training sessions to get back into match fitness. But that sharpness of passing, the timing of his performance, the rhythm to his performance, that wasn't there today.
It was absolute, and it set the tone for the team, I suppose. Didn't not suggesting that it was impacting everybody.
You've also got Byram coming in, having not played that much recently because Firpo's been in good form, and a new midfield combination, and Aronson, I think, had Gnonto not turned his ankle in the 40th minute for Italy under 21s, Gnonto would have started today. I'm convinced of that. Yeah. I think we'll see him start at Luton because Farke does tend to go with the hot hand, doesn't he? If a player scores or has a bit of momentum, he does tend to put them in. And if he has a week without any issues with this ankle, I could see him starting.
On the flip side of that, the making changes thing, I'm thinking particularly like Ampadu today, like there was, I think, a decent case for taking him off at half time, to be honest. But I were chatting to the blokes around me, we're sort of saying, I get the feeling he'll send the same team out, give him 5 or 10 minutes. If it doesn't particularly shape up, he'll then make the changes. He doesn't like to be too...
I felt they were doing all right when they came out after the break. They were controlling it more. And it was still 1-0 when Ampadu went off, wasn't it?
I was just going to say specifically about that. There was a case for it, even if, it wasn't a particularly strong one, because you could see he was just miles off it. We've seen, like I say, going back to Bielsa, him make changes far, far earlier than that. The problem with it is, and this possibly relates to the example of dropping Melia as well, is that we end up in a situation where you then appear to be bending to the will of the crowd and the mood of the crowd and being reactionary. If you don't make these decisions in a proactive way, like talking about dropping Melia, there was the case for doing that was there at Hull. And I think a braver manager, which sounds quite mean, I suppose, but a braver manager would have done it and would have been decisive and taken that action because it probably needed to happen. And you end up dropping him now, and relative to the time that he could have taken that decision after Hull, it looks weak.
And I guess the flip side to that is he brings Darlow in. What if Darlow has an absolute shocker? Where do you go? Cairns? You bring Melia back in? Then you look like... I would imagine there would be a reticence from Farke to make a change at any stage in goal now, because if it goes wrong, you are going to look reaction. You're going to look a bit like a headless chicken, aren't you, if you're chopping and changing your keeper at this stage. There's a lot riding on it, but I just think there's too much water under the bridge now. It's too much of a severe situation. And the peril that they're still in, despite that mad run they went on, Blades and Clarets never went away. The peril you're now in, between now and the end of the season, you just can't afford to have another one of those wrecks, never mind 2 or 3 before the end of the season.
I think it's fine to keep rotating keepers when they make a mistake. And I look forward to Daryl Ombang being in net.
We'll have to recall him from Hartlepool because he's gone out on loan.
All right. Someone else.
Rory Mahady.
That's the guy. Although I've seen him make a few errors in the under-23s, actually. So it'd be perfect.
It's so infuriating. I'd take Lucas Radebe today.
Yeah.
In net.
Good shout.
Chris Woods was there today. Ex-Rangers and England keeper. Maybe he could come back.
What's he doing there?
He was in an observer role, I think, for the Premier League, doing a report on the boy referee, the 13-year-old referee.
Right.
Oh, was he a child, was he? I didn't know.
Very much a child. Very inexperienced. I'm not sure if he's refed in the Championship before. Very inexperienced.
Is that why he didn't send off that person who should have been sent off?
He got that one wrong, didn't he? I thought he got the penalty right. I thought Rodon's challenge was clumsy. And he got a few of the yellow cards right, but he absolutely should have sent off the left back, before he was substituted.
Ben Toner.
That's him.
Yeah. Good for your printer.
Very good.
Thank you. I thought he was soft. I think he was very whistle happy. I think he
should have got his magenta cards out.
Everything
printer toner jokes there.
Everything was a foul. I think there was a point at which the players sort of twigged, and possibly the Swansea players twigged very fractionally earlier than the Leeds players, that you just go down. Just go down.
Yeah, I still thought there was a bit of naivety in some of Leeds' challenges today. Like Farke said it before, the way you show physicality isn't by fouling someone and giving them the way out. It's to go in hard and strong and win the ball. I thought Aronson let Lewis O'Brien run him a little bit by just turning his back to him. Aronson would give him a bit of contact. Lewis O'Brien would go down. He didn't need to do it in a lot of those situations.
Jaden Bogle got good value out of a foul.
Yeah, that was
Dear
good.
me, did
Because
he,
I saw
did he
that
ever?
and I was like, shit, he's going to get sent off here. And then
it was a throw in.
and I was like, oh, okay.
Didn't even give free kick.
That looked quite bad.
Joel Piroux didn't have his finest day in terms of competing for balls, did he? I think there were certain moments where the mood of the crowd possibly influenced him to get a little bit more involved than he was at times, because he's not the most physical player. He's a bit more technical, isn't he? Really tends to wait for the ball. But a lot of his running and challenging seemed to be either half-arsed or misplaced, or
Slightly late.
Yeah, it all just felt a little bit wrong.
Did come close to scoring, didn't he? There was the one that I think it was Aronson crossed it, and keeper made
the
a good
volley.
save. Yeah,
The keeper was all right. You know, he made a good save from Strike, didn't he? Just prior to Gnonto sticking it.
That's the thing. I'd not really, because I was so annoyed by the whole thing. I'd not really reflected on the fact that we probably did have enough in that game to win it, whether we would have deserved to or not.
The thing is, they had a keeper who was making saves though, and that's not really fair.
Well, do you remember the corner that came in? I think it was immediately after Melia had dropped it, and there was kind of a, oh, you can do that, can you? When their keeper just picked it out of the air, that corner.
They also missed a penalty. Rather, Melia saved a penalty and they hit the post in the first half.
That one where it bounced straight back into Melia's arms.
Into Melia's grateful hands.
Because of his excellent positioning and handling.
He just turned around and went, oh, thank you very much. But he did catch it, so well done.
Well,
should have headed it into his own net.
Yeah, it all feels quite nihilistic, doesn't it, this evening? And this will come out a couple of days hence. And do you know what? I think this misery is going to be with me all week.
Do you remember
until they put it right?
The Bielsa season. Do you remember what your feelings were when, after Adam Forshaw said they were going to romp it, and then they went to Cardiff and lost? Did you feel like this then? Did you feel despondent then?
I can't remember what the exact situation with the table was, because we'd come off the back of 5 straight wins without conceding a goal prior to the COVID break. So it didn't feel like the end of the world. But I do remember it ramping up. It was almost a bit of a surprise, actually, because we'd done 5 wins on the bounce, but obviously a gap of several months changes the...
Because everyone was dead confident that they were going to come out the break like in the best physical condition of the league. You know, they'd been so on it, getting the players, the fitness equipment and stuff, and they were prepared. And then they went and lost that game. And I just wonder what the kind of psyche of the fan base was then compared to what it is now, and whether we'll look back at this and think it was just like the Cardiff, the blip before they went and romped it.
Do you trust this team to romp it?
I think this team has it in them to stay unbeaten, but they're going to need to win next week. I think.
I think it was the week after that Cardiff defeat we went and drew with Luton, so that wouldn't be good, would it? let's avoid doing that.
But I forget they were playing every 4 days, weren't they? I think
there was midweek.
Luton was a midweek.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, that was the midweek.
Exact timing of it. Yeah, because we lost, beat Fulham, and everyone was like, "Oh, back on track." Then drew with Luton, and it was like, "Ah, shit." No, still work to be done here.
Yeah, I mean, I am trying to cling on to the fact that you've got to ignore, I suppose, to a certain extent, the short-term reaction and stay focused on the rest of the season, which is almost certainly what Farke's going to be doing. But it's very hard to let go of that today when you see them over a number of weeks doing the same thing again.
I mean, I think this was actually our worst performance of this run, because I think you could make an argument that with the chances we had, Portsmouth, you can win that game. QPR, again, obviously a terrible start. Get it back to 2-2. You'd say we were probably the more likely to win it at that point. Today we were in the lead, but we were very fortunate to be so.
I think
that first half is probably as badly as we've played since the Southampton game at the end of last season at Elland Road.
I think if you wanted some balance to Eeyore over here and it's just despondency, you look at this team and you think, let's compare them with last season, right? When it all went wrong at this time of year. Georgie and Cree, if they weren't on it, and Georgie wasn't on it towards the end of the season, Leeds weren't on it, and Leeds didn't tend to score goals and it didn't tend to go very well.
I hope they're both sad, by the way.
This season, if Peru doesn't play particularly well, you've got Dan James. If Dan James doesn't play particularly well, you've got Solomon, you've got Gnonto coming off the bench. The fullbacks might score, Stroik might score, Tanaka might score, Rothwell's got great deliveries and can change a game. There's enough in this team that they can go out and get the points they need to finish in the top 2 or even finish first. There definitely is.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. But let me say to you, Graeme, so I've pulled up the league table on 11v11.com. You can get the league table from any time, in history, I think, by the looks of it. Recent history anyway. So after that Cardiff game, we had played 38 and we were second on goal difference, 71 points, both us and West Brom. Fulham were third with 64 points. So there was a 7-point gap. So we had the comfort of losing that game.
Yeah. But then they did go on and win it by, 10 points? Like, romped it.
Is that what you're saying is going to happen? And can you promise it?
I'm making no such promises.
Yeah. It's very hard to...
I don't think we'll win it by 10 points this year. It's going to go out on a limb there.
Very hard to be convinced by Farke, I think, as it feels today. And I wonder if his rallying cry, the "we'll definitely go up," is probably the last place he's got to go, the last refuge he's got to take to a certain extent, don't you think?
It was uncharacteristic enough to feel, when a manager almost goes a bit too far with his comments, almost, I don't want to say desperation's not the word I'm looking for, almost like he's trying to reel the narrative back in, trying to dampen down the...
Somebody who's losing control of the narrative tries to grasp control of it back again.
A little bit, yeah.
When it's slipping out of their grip.
A little bit.
What did he do? Is it right? He put his feet up on the desk and said, now we're going to piss it. Is that what he said?
And also, Graeme, why don't you and the rest of the journalist pool 2-foot him in the chest and say, why don't you drop Melia? That's what fans want you to do. Stop asking stupid questions.
Yeah, like, are you going to drop Melia?
Yeah. Is he going to drop Melia? Is he going to do it, do you think?
Oh, he has to. I think he has to.
I'm not at all convinced he will.
I'm not.
I'm aware it's against absolutely all logic. And as
in
we
any other position,
and as we sit in this room, every single person is going, but he's got to. But I've been at that point several times this season where you're like, well, he's got to drop him now. He's got to. And then the next game, there he is. And then because he doesn't have to do anything.
But what message does it send if somebody has made multiple errors of the same ilk, of the same manner, unforced,
basic
Melia
errors
is
that
like,
cost points?
He's like Daniel's black polo shirt. He just likes it, and he will not change.
In other positions, though, he will drop players for poor performances. So it is very hard to understand at times. I mean, particularly right now.
I do understand I get it. I get it both ways. Like the argument for dropping him is so obvious and undeniable. I also get the argument for keeping a player in and backing your players because of what it'll do to their confidence. But this goes beyond that for me now, and I think that's the point at which we're at. It is about basic ability. Yeah,
I mean, in a hypothetical situation where you can't sack Farke, are we still got Melia in net? He's 25, and are we still got Melia in yet in 10 years? Just doing this, still doing this, and Farke's still going, no. It's still right to back him.
He's
had 500 appearances now, and he's not been good in any of them. But I, for one, back him.
Question for the ages: do you think Melia backs Melia? I don't.
He's got to have doubts.
I think his head's gone. I do.
He desperately needs a fresh start.
He's finished at Leeds, as far as I'm concerned. He was finished from about the whole game, and I think, truthfully, deep down, the body language and the looks that you were describing there, Graeme, of the defenders, like Joe Rodon in particular, they don't want him there. I can't see that they'd want him there. And they're not. It's nothing personal, and it's not attacking him on a personal level, just as a professional footballer.
It must be on a personal level. I sympathise with him because it must be bloody awful. Because it's that feeling of, I've done it again.
Yeah.
And when you make a mistake, you're on your goal line when you make a mistake. Whereas if Peru makes a mistake in possession, he's in the final third and the peril is a lot less and the scrutiny is a lot less. It is a horrible situation to be in, but it's your job. And it's a wonderful job. It's one of the best jobs in the world.
It must be akin to that feeling if you've ever gone past the speed camera when you've just had an idle moment when you've not been realising how fast you've been going, and you have that awful sinking feeling if you see the flashes after you or whatever, and you go, oh shit. But it's then if you have to then do it again in another couple of months and then again, what I'm saying is take the licence off him.
He's a man continually misjudging farts. It's what I'll say. Happens once, maybe. All right, fine. I've made a mistake here.
Elon, you've shit the bed
again. How many times is that this year?
That's another set of sheets ruined. Yeah. Oh, Graeme.
It needs to end.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of it. There's nothing more you can say on it, is there? With him, you just can be like, yeah, don't do that. What we're going to work on in training this week, like. Not dropping that cross, but he can catch that ball. I know he can catch that ball. I can catch that ball. It's straight at him. It's not like he's failing to do difficult things or follow instructions. Like he's been a professional goalkeeper for like a decade.
They give him special gloves that help you hang on to footballs.
He's going to have spent like every day of his life for a decade just catching footballs.
Yeah.
The team selection will be fascinating next week. Not just in goal, just in general.
I think you could pick it now.
Really? You could pick the central midfield.
Yeah, he'll go with Ampadu, who'll be a week on, and he will put in Tanaka. It'll be Ampadu and Tanaka.
Even though Rothwell was our best player today.
Yeah,
I could probably see that.
it'll be Ampadu and Tanaka, same wingers, Nonto in the middle, as you were. That's what I think.
Verpo, surely. And
Yeah, straight back in. Yeah, just because they obviously needed the rest because of the jet lag and all that. But yeah, I'll put money on it now. A small amount.
Yeah, because I could also see Gruev, Ampadu, because now and again he'll chuck in a midfield combination that you think, wow.
I've thought of some good news we can finish on. Michael, tell them how much you won today.
I won £140.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you get right?
Leeds not winning.
Right.
At what point did you back it? When we were winning?
When we were winning 1-0. Because we were playing like absolute shit.
Yep.
And I thought,
here's a man who knows his football and his betting.
We could absolutely mess this up. And I was admittedly thinking, I'm losing some money here towards the end. That's nice. Nope.
Well, at least somebody's got reason for cheer.
I see. I'm not happy.
You can sit at home cackling over that big fucking wallet full
Counting
of money.
your cash.
Sickening. Another game this weekend.
Yes. Difficult game.
Yeah.
Difficult trip.
Must win.
Whatever.
Early kickoff.
Great. Nearly Luton. There's the word London features in the airport title.
It does. It does, but not culturally. I would suggest.
Great. Right. That's that then, isn't it? For now.
Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it.
This has felt like the most loveless marriage we've had.
As your to cap it off, as your team lost in the
I don't
cup as well.
honestly. I'd rather you didn't tell me.
That's fine. Yeah, it's 2-0 now.
I forgot to say.
Oh, right, brilliant.
Dungannon Swifts. That's not even a real team. Bangor I've heard of.
You've probably heard of the wrong one though.
Right.
The one in Wales.
Yeah, maybe. No, I haven't. I have heard of Bangor in Northern Ireland. I'll tell you why after we finish this show. We'll see in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.